Welcome back to Joe Sends Rarest Photos. Thanks for joining me to talk a little bit about Elvis, to read some about Elvis, and to try to get away from the noise. There's a lot of noise out there. So thank you to you, all the brand new subscribers that have come here. Seems like my subscribership has jumped a ton in the last week. So I appreciate that. It's nice to see all the new folks coming and all of the subscribers that have been with me for years commenting. I did get around to answering maybe 400 or 500 of the comments this evening. It was really nice to see all the wonderful comments, the wonderful love of Elvis, and I want to do a little reading and hopefully give y'all something to go to sleep to. Or clean the house to, or if you're sick, or if you're at home and you can't get out, something to do. So without further ado, I appreciate everybody on this channel. I appreciate the super thanks. I appreciate the love you have for Elvis. I mean, that legitimate love, the positive vibes that you guys put out 24/7. So we are reading about Elvis and Love Me Tender. We're kind of at that section where June Monico had been kind of almost pushed into a corner by Colonel Parker, and she was upset with Elvis about it. On the ride back from Miami, I guess Elvis had her go in a different car because he didn't want to upset the Colonel and have a bunch of stress. And so she I'm going to go back a couple paragraphs. Let's see here. Okay, so June was mad at this point, and she said, "I wish I'd known all that. I wouldn't even let Buddy stop. Pull over, Elvis. I'll be glad to ride with Buddy." This is after he told her why she was in a different car. He pulled over on the side of the road, about 5 miles down the road, and Elvis was like, "Come on, baby, don't be mad. I'm just trying to tell you what he said. He thinks it'd be bad for me if my fans thought I had a steady girlfriend." And then June said, "What do you think, Elvis? Or does that matter? Does he tell you where you can go take a..." Yeah. I was taking my anger out on Elvis. And June then said, "Stop the dang car and you won't have to worry about the Colonel or the fans." So that's what had kind of happened, all right? So we got through all that. They made up. It was kind of a little funny little thing where Pat was like leaning, her friend Pat was leaning up with her head on the seat trying to listen to the conversation in that big old car. All right. So they stopped, and we raced straight to the restrooms. Elvis only stopped at gas stations and restaurants because a pee break was out of the question. Well, you don't get nowhere if you stop every 10 minutes, right? The boys pulled 2 tables together, and we finally got seated. Elvis said he wanted out of everything in the house. Oh, sorry. It's late at night. Let me start this again so I don't sound like I can't read. All right. The boys pulled 2 tables together and we finally got seated. Elvis said he wanted one of everything in the house. I laughed, remembering breakfast in Houston, and wondered if he was serious. Now, Buddy was seated across from Elvis and acting like a clown as usual. It didn't take much to make us laugh because we were tired and had a case of the sillies. Buddy kept saying, "Please help me out of this swamp," over and over and over again. He was using his big lips to put a popping sound on the end of swamp. "Please let me out of this swamp." I guess that's how it went. "Please help me out of this swamp." Everybody at the table started trying to do it, but nobody's pop was as loud as Buddy's. Well, we all settled down and got serious when the waitress brought us our menu. Elvis asked, "Hey, baby, what's the best thing in the house?" The waitress answered, "Well, we have a great chef salad and the best fried chicken in the South." Elvis said, "I'll bring us all a salad, and maybe by the time we're done with that, we'll be ready to order. Okay, honey?" Elvis gave her a sexy, crooked smile, which I can't imitate. Working so far out in the boonies, it was apparent that she'd never heard of Elvis Presley. I mean, I know this is 1956. I guess it makes some sense. He wasn't nationwide yet. He would be soon, though. By the way, if you stick around, I'm going to preview part of another of our Christmas song videos that's going to be coming out on November 25th. So I just wanted to kind of get that out of the way to say that, because a lot of y'all make it to the end. M-I-T-T-E, made it to the end. And if you do, well, I'll have something for you. Okay, here we go. I walked over to the out-of-date jukebox, and sure enough, not even one of Elvis's songs was listed. The waitress brought out 8 beautiful salads, topped with feta cheese and capers, and then walked over to the picture window. Everyone but Elvis started digging into their salads. Elvis looked around, looked at his salad, and was mystified. Then he asked, "What are these little black things on that white stuff?" Buddy said, "Eat it, EP, it's good for you. It's swamp pop bugs." Picking one up with his fingers, what the heck, and dropping it into his mouth. Elvis stabbed the caper with his fork, examined it closely, gave it a sniff, and popped it in his mouth. "Tastes more like ether balls to me," he said, made a face, and pushed the capers to the side of the plate. I don't know what either one of those are. I mean, I know I've heard of capers, but ether, E-T, like ether balls, E-T-H-E-R. The waitress asked, "What did you kids do, rob a bank?" Still looking out the window at the 2 cars. And Elvis replied, "Yes, ma'am, but we'd appreciate it if you'd at least wait an hour before calling the sheriff." Serious enough to actually sound convincing. The waitress was right about the chicken, except for Elvis's mom's. It was the best I'd ever tasted. And Elvis told her, "Honey, if you want some good fried chicken, you should come to Memphis, Tennessee. Nobody does chicken as good as my mama." Unable to resist the opportunity to brag about his mother. "That's not the only thing she did good," said the waitress, putting her hand on his shoulder and raising her brows. "Needless to say, she got a good tip." Chapter 21. SEX on tour. That's what the chapter's titled. June is an amazing author. When Peter Guralnick, in the foreword, said what he said, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I thought maybe he was just giving her just some praise, just because he's an Elvis fan. But in the introduction, it says, let me see here. Let's see, everyone. Okay. I'm trying to find the compliment that he says. Okay, here it is. All right. I should have known that June was a writer when we first met. It wasn't the fact that she had saved up her experience over the years, avoiding interviews for the most part and keeping her memories to herself. Nor was it the confidence with which she told her story. See, lots of people can recite anecdotes with assurance and humor. No, it was the extent to which she had reflected upon her experience, fleshed out her story with the 3-dimensional portraits, created a narrative persona removed from the 19-year-old girl at its center, provided a structure which, far from distorting the experience, defined it. When she produced a manuscript that she'd been working on, I really should not have been surprised. Everyone has his or her own way of telling a story, and most of us, when recounting our own experience, paints a truthful picture. So anyways, I mean, he really just expounded on what a great author she was and how impressed he was by her. So this chapter, I guess, I don't know how that happened. Let me get back to where I was at. Love and marriage. I see a picture here, which is pretty cool. Let's see right there. That lucky dream girl was me. All knew the full intimate story of the girls in his life, never before published. 125 revealing new photos. Huh. That's a lot of photos, especially back in the time when Elvis wasn't known yet. All right. I woke up in such a fog, it took a while for me to realize that we were in Tampa. Pat had already had breakfast and was back in the room reading a newspaper and making all kinds of noise. Will you please stop that racket? What the heck time is it, anyways? I asked, trying to get my bearings. It's 12 o'clock, Lazybones. Are you going to sleep all day? I'll let you see what I'm reading if you promise not to get mad, she added, grinning. When I came out of the bathroom, she handed me the newspaper, having first made me promise not to get mad. The following is written exactly as it appeared in the morning edition of the Miami News. Elvis denies Biloxi beauty is his steady. Y'all probably thought I was going to stop reading. I'm not. Elvis says no, that she's one of his 25 regulars. The teenager's mother says in no uncertain terms that the pelvis has asked her daughter to be his permanently in 3 years. That girl with the unsettled status is June Wanico, who it is said has been stroking Elvis's brow between his hectic shows. It is said he prefers her to aspirin. June proclaimed her attachment for the teen idol to a Miami News reporter while Presley was performing at the Olympia Theater. Asked about the relationship yesterday, Elvis interrupted buying a $10,800 car to reply. Now, this is the way it is. I got about 25 girls I date regular. She's just one of the girls. In declaring her feelings for the writhing singer, June said she is going on the Presley tour of 6 Florida cities and New Orleans. Mother says yes. Her mother, Mrs. May Wanico of Biloxi, told the Miami News by telephone that Elvis wanted June to be with him on the tour. Now, I don't object to her making this trip, Miss Wanico says. He's a nice boy, and June's a good girl. I talked to his parents, and they said that Elvis would take good care of her. Now, claims were made. Parker took reports of Elvis's steady girlfriend calmly. Well, they show up, sometimes 8 at a time, in the hotel or theater lobby, all claiming they're his steadies, Parker said. One girl even claimed she was my daughter, and I don't have a daughter. I had to laugh, said June. Pat was relieved. She thought I might take it serious. I mean, 25 girls? Give me a break. Sorry. The yawns are back. I couldn't wait to see Elvis and show him the article. I folded the paper and put it in my purse so I wouldn't forget. Elvis called the room saying he was getting out of bed and would meet us in the hotel dining room. Now, when everyone was seated, I pulled out the paper and slapped it with the back of my hand. That's not a paper. That's a hardcover book. Don't do that at home, especially as hard as I did that. Son, you've got to stop this kind of publicity. Pretty soon people will be calling you Super Pelvis, I said in my deepest voice, said June. He read the article with a grin on his face the entire time. The paper, I'm sorry if this is morning time and or afternoon and you're having to listen to me on. He read the article with a grin on his face the entire time. The paper was passed around the table so everyone could share the laugh. Elvis then said, I was trying to say what the colonel wanted to hear, but I goofed. Boy, you should have seen his face when I said 25. Even the reporter said, pardon me, did you say 25? Without even looking at the colonel, I knew he was giving me the evil eye. It was on the tip of my tongue to say, either 25 or 30. I haven't taken a head count lately, but I decided I'd better keep my mouth shut. And then Gene, hey, Gene, there's somebody asked me to read a book. I think it's called Elvis's Man Friday or something like that by Gene. Gene said, yeah, that's why he takes us along. We take care of the overflow, Gene said dryly. Speaking of overflow, will you please make sure the door is locked the next time you take care of it? I said to Red. What are you talking about, June? Oh, okay, this is Elvis. Elvis was like, what are you talking about, June? Is Red up to his old tricks again? Red, trying to avoid the issue, kept stuffing his mouth with food and didn't say a word. Pat began ferociously digging her spoon into a half a cantaloupe, her eyes darting from Elvis to Red to me. Does he do it all the time? Pat asked, trying not to giggle. Everyone but Elvis started to laugh. Okay, somebody better tell me what happened. What'd you do this time, Red? Elvis asked. Oh, it was nothing, man. Pat and June opened the door on me and this chick, that's all, Red answered, like it was no big deal. Then Elvis said, he says, dang it, well, the other word. Dang it, Red, I've told you about that kind of, you're going to get my rear in trouble just because you can't keep your effing pants zipped. Okay, so, see, that's the one thing about June's book. It is not short on cuss words. So, be aware of that if you ever get it. She's very colorful with how she describes things and also her memory of the words that were said. I just can't say them on the channel. A lot of y'all have kids and grandkids, so I try never to say a cuss word lest they have to hear it and learn something from a stranger they shouldn't be hearing. All right. Elvis slammed his empty coffee cup on the table. Now, you could have heard a pin drop when the waitress ran over and refilled Elvis's empty cup. I'd heard him cuss on occasion, but lately it was getting to be every other word. Now, his patience was wearing thin. Elvis was glaring across the table at Red, when Buddy, still half asleep, joined us at the table. Now, he picked up the paper and started reading the article. Dang, EP, 25? I thought I was doing good with 3. You really have 25, Buddy said. No, man, I just pulled that number out of my rear. It made the Colonel happy. It made June happy, too, didn't it, baby, he said, patting me on my thigh. Yeah, it made me happy, especially for the daughter Colonel Parker didn't have, I answered sarcastically. Elvis asked, you don't like him very much, do you, baby? Very much? I don't like him at all, said Jim. Now, I want you to tell everything that happened with Red, he said, sitting down on the side of the bed when they got back in the room after pushing the elevator button. Everything? Details and all, I asked. Yes, everything. You don't have to be descriptive, June, but I do need to know what happened. Well, you were on stage, and Pat and I were watching from the wings. I was tired of reporters asking questions, so Pat and I decided to go to wait in your dressing room. All the doors looked exactly alike. Well, we saw one beam of light coming from under a door, and we thought, well, that must be the right one. We opened the door and went right on in. Now, Red and this girl were on the top of a long table against the wall, and they were doing it. Doing what? I don't know, coloring books or something like that, writing a letter, in case there's ears listening that shouldn't be listening. Doing what, June? He asked, teasing, knowing dang good and well what I was talking about. You know what, Elvis? They weren't yawning, let me tell you that. I'm yawning. You know what, Elvis? Do you want me to draw you a picture, I asked, feeling my face turn red. Did Red see you when you came in? Yes, he saw us both, and so did the girl, but it didn't make any difference to either of them. They just kept going on. It was a disgusting sight. Red didn't have a shirt on. It's like a Harlequin novel. I think that's what you pronounce it. Didn't have a shirt on. Didn't have other things on. You know. He was sweating like a hog. Sweat was dripping from Red's face into the girl's face. It was awful. Pat and I were both so shocked we just stood there with our mouths open, not believing what we were seeing. I grabbed Pat by the arm and we ran out the door, and the very next door was your dressing room. We could still hear the table banging against the wall, and it must have lasted for a good 10 minutes. How old a girl would you say she was, June? I don't know, Elvis. Maybe 25, maybe older. I really wasn't paying much attention to her appearance. It was her position that caught my eye. I said, laughing to cover my embarrassment. And then Elvis said, "Well, I hope she was at least 18. I've had this problem with Red before. Just a few weeks ago, I told him I was going to fire him if he didn't learn to keep his Richard Nixon under control. I had to be creative really quick, with what she wrote. It's times like this, I wonder why I even have them around. I can't say anything to the Colonel about them, because he'd run their butts off the road. They're all good boys, June, and they do need me. And I need them too. I just haven't figured out what for yet. So it was her position that caught your eye, huh? He teased, laughing, pulling me to my feet, and giving me a kiss. It was times like this, and they were often, that made me realize what an unselfish, loving, and forgiving person Elvis was, and why I was growing to love him more and more. Elvis never did say anything more to Red about the incident, and he didn't have to, because Red got the message when he heard the loud bang of Elvis's coffee cup. Nothing and no one would ever come between Red and his desire for that. But for the rest of the tour, he was a bit more discreet. That's a very inside look into 1956, and something that I had never heard about before, which is why I love sharing some of these books. And I hope you, I mean, this is out of print, I think, but you should go buy it. You should go buy the book, or just continue listening to me read it, although you'll get done with the book a lot quicker if you're not waiting on me. But anyhow, thanks so much for tuning in, and thank you for letting me read to you and share these funny stories, and getting to take a look at the person Elvis was, especially from June's viewpoint, and person that June is. She's still alive. Somebody said they'd love me to go meet her. I don't know how and when I can do it, because once again, I'm actually I took a day off today, but I worked all day long. I worked in the garage. In fact, I have a new employee, and I worked all day just kind of answering his questions. Had to take care of it. So even when I have a day off, I'm working. And so, and I'm working now. I guess it's kind of work, but it's really not. It's more just like having a conversation with friends. So, my wife was reading a book in bed, and I said, "Hey, babe, I need to go downstairs, maybe just read for 20 or 30 minutes. If we're not going to watch a TV show and you're going to read," and she's like, "Bye." Because she's starting to love reading books. I've been an avid reader all my life since I was a kid. Like, no joke. The librarian at the where I went to school, 29 Palms Junior High, when I was leaving there and going into high school, she goes, "Do you know how many books you read? I've never seen anybody read as many books as you did." And I said, "I don't know. Sometimes I can read 2 or 3 books in a day. I'm a pretty fast reader." And she said 2,000. She's some number, somewhere 2,100 or 2,200 and something. And she goes, "You must have quite the vocabulary." And I was like, "I don't know. I read so fast. Maybe I don't." But it just stuck with me how much I love reading. And I read everything from Mickey Mantle biographies to Harry Houdini, to books on JFK. There was a couple of Elvis books I'm sure I read back then. All of the Louis L'Amour novels, the westerns and stuff like that. There's a couple hundred of those. I read them all in junior high. In fact, I named my son Tucker after the names of one of Louis L'Amour's books. And it was Billy Stanley that told me, I believe, that Elvis loved Louis L'Amour. I had no clue. Nowhere in any biographies have I ever seen that. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I've got some heartburn going on right now, and it doesn't help to talk a lot and breathe a lot when I'm. But anyways, point being is my wife is going to give me a hard time about that. She's upstairs reading, so I didn't want to disturb her, and I was singing this song. Charlie Brown, he's a clown. Why is everybody always picking on me? Y'all remember that song? I kept kind of singing that every few minutes. She was like, "Would you stop it? Do I need to go out and read somewhere else?" So, yeah, I'll get to hear it now. But anyways, Here's a preview of one of our other Christmas songs that I wrote and we recorded, um, and you can see some of the setup here still from the where we shot some of the music video. Um, when you don't have a ton of money, I ain't rich, that's for sure. Uh, you make do. You figure out how to do it on your own. You cut your own stuff. You know, thankfully I'm a writer, songwriter. Um, you cut your own. In fact, my guitar's over here. Let me go ahead and just for a second see if this thing's even in tune. See what we got here. It's a little out of tune, but anyways, I am going to preview my our record, our Christmas record. Haven't played this since the last show. I don't even know what I'm going to sing, but I'll pick a little bit for a second, maybe. Actually, I don't need the tuner. I've got this little connector in here that so maybe this song, I can't do much of it because once again I didn't write this song. But my wife been playing a game on her phone too, you know, and she gets a little bit of free time. She works really hard, and sometimes she's just got to veg out and be on her phone for a few minutes, and she was playing a game, and I was following her around, singing, "Solitaire's the only game in town." Remember that song? Every road that takes him down. While life goes all around him. Remember that? Everywhere he's playing solitaire. I love that song. I love that song when I was sure I sang it wrong a little bit in the beginning, but I love that song when I was a kid. Gosh, I mean, what 10-year-old? I mean, I was a weird kid, I guess. You know, I mean, what 10-year-old? That was one of my favorite songs, and then let's see, there's a ship lies rigging ready in the harbor. That's another one I loved. And tomorrow for old England we sail. What a beautiful song. Far away from your endless land of sunshine, to my land full of rainy skies and gay. Now I can sing the song without breaks, but if I do that, I'll get in trouble. The Last Farewell. Was it Roger Whittaker that sang it, and then Elvis covered it? Much better. Anyhow, I guess at some point in time I should play some of my Elvis tribute songs, and maybe I'll start doing that. Maybe I'll start doing an Elvis tribute song every other video or something like that, at the end of it or something like that, so you can read books and with me and have conversations. But yeah, that's what a great song, Solitaire. There was a man, I don't know the chord, a lonely man, right, who lost his hand to his endear. Yeah, that's a great song. Elvis had such great taste in songs that were stories. You know, yeah, the one of my favorite songs too. What's that called? It's just horrible. It's late at night, and I'm struggling with probably my favorite Elvis song, or at least one of my top 5 favorite Elvis songs. Now hush, little baby, don't you cry, for you know your daddy is bound to die. I mean, think of all the songs, the iconic Elvis songs, that, I mean, there wasn't just one, there wasn't just 5, there wasn't just 10, there wasn't just 20, there wasn't just 50, there were hundreds of iconic Elvis songs. I don't play the Elvis songs enough at shows. I'm just too busy doing originals and country songs like Johnny Cash stuff, you know. I got it one piece at a time, and it didn't cost me a dime. Can't sing too much of that. But well, I hear the train a coming. Steady. I do a little bit of Jerry Lee Lewis at shows, not much. Mainly, I'm a big fan of George Strait, and of course, George Strait was a huge fan of Elvis. My wife sings Dolly and Trisha and Reba McEntire. I'll do a little, you know what, if you're still with me, my gosh, I apologize. I'm everywhere right now. I'm like ADHD or something like that on guitar. I can do this song because, once again, I don't have it anywhere out on a record, so I don't get a content ID copyright strike against my channel, because even it's something difficult to explain. Even though my music is licensed, and so I put it out in different platforms, and I got to be careful about some of the songs I've released and that I wrote, that I got publishing on. So this is one of my wife's favorite songs, if I can even remember it. I wrote this before I met her, but I think it's one of the songs that she said that she kind of fell in love with me singing. So let's see if I can make it through without sounding like an idiot. Got my old job, working at days end. I ain't seen a raise in a year, and I'm threatening to quit again. And my truck still runs, the one we made love in. It runs, but not like it did back then. Kicking, the world still turning, the flames start down, but the fire still burning. I'm alright, but I could be better if I just had the nerve to send this letter. Of course, there's no letters anymore, it's all emails and text messages, but I still wear the silver ring you bought me May 5th last year for our anniversary. And this hat you love sure could use a steaming, 'cause it ain't been the same since it watched you leaving. Oh, and I'm still kicking, the world's still turning, the flames died down, but the fire's still burning. I'm alright, but I could be better if I just had the nerve to send this letter. book for fools. I'd be the founder, but my judgment's gotten a whole lot sounder. And if this heartbreak time has taught me a lesson, it's when you find true love, you better count your blessings. Oh, and I'm still kicking, the world's still turning, the flames died down, but the fire's still burning. I'm alright, but I could be better if I just had the nerve to send this letter. Oh, 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 this letter. Oh, oh, oh. I got no voice right now. Anyhow, you know what? I have not. I've not fully recorded that song, and I mean I've got some versions of it, but I wrote that in what year is that? I wrote that 1998, 1999, 2000, somewhere in that time frame. I wrote that song, and it's the first time I shared it on a channel. So, anyhow, I hope you enjoyed it, and if I haven't chased you off, here is a sample, part of the one of the other Christmas songs that my wife and I are going to release, called "Runaway Christmas." And y'all saw or heard some of it, but here's a snippet of the finished version. All right, TCB TLC. If you made it to the end, thank you so much, and until next time, Joe sends Rever's photos.
Mr. Claus, did you remember to blow out all the candles?
Yeah, babe, I did. Hey, don't forget to grab our matching pajamas. Remember the ones you bought last time?
You know I won't.
I refused to wear.
I'm in charge of the radio.
Yeah, I remember that rule. Let's pack a bag and a bottle of red. A snowfall soft where the city lights spread. We'll leave behind the plans we made for a different kind of Christmas holiday. We don't need a tree or mistletoe, just a cabin somewhere and a fireplace low. Leave the computers and shut off the phone, so it's just us on a runaway Christmas. We'll trade the hustle and bustle for those mountain pines, where the only sound we hear is your heartbeat and mine. Wrapped in a blanket, your hand in mine, we'll let the world fall far behind.